That state's witness will also testify that Marquise Conway was one of the individuals responsible for a portion of that payment.
Dallas hip-hop has seen its share of beef, but when MO3 got gunned down on I-35 in broad daylight, nobody expected what came next. Now, 5 years later, prosecutors claim Yella Beezy withdrew $100,000 in cash days after the murder, and the bank cameras caught it all. We've got all the details. Let's break it down. The fatal feud, how a Dallas rap rivalry turned deadly. That November sun was sitting high over Dallas on a Wednesday in 2020, and I-35E was packed with the usual midday traffic. Folks grinding through their shifts, truckers making their runs, everyday people just trying to survive another day. But what popped off in those next few minutes would send shockwaves through the entire rap game and kick off a street saga that wouldn't see its final chapter until 5 years deep. This is the uncut story of how beef between two of Dallas's realest rap talents went from trading bars to trading bullets, leaving one artist stretched out on the concrete and another one staring down murder-for-hire charges that could bury him under the jail forever. But hold up, to really understand how we got to that moment of straight chaos and gunfire on a packed freeway in broad day, we gotta rewind this whole situation and break down the genesis of a beef that started, like most hood beefs do, over something way smaller than anybody could have predicted. We need to get into the backgrounds of these two soldiers, the blocks that raised them, and that toxic mix of ambition, loyalty, and street pride that would eventually lead to a tragedy nobody could take back. Yella Beezy, government name Marquise DeAndre Conway, came straight out the trenches of Oak Cliff in Dallas, a hood that wears its battle scars with pride, known for real ones holding it down, but also for the daily struggles that test every soul born there. Coming up in the early 90s, Conway's whole world got flipped upside down when his pops got murked in their own crib on Mother's Day when he was just 12 years old. That type of devastating loss forces you to grow up way before its time, leaving you with questions that got no answers and a completely different outlook when you realize nowhere's truly safe. Growing up surrounded by that gritty southern trap sound bumping from every corner store and whip on the block, Conway found his escape in the music. By 9 years old, he was already writing his own bars, using rhymes as therapy for emotions too deep to speak on. This wasn't about chasing clout at that age. This was pure survival, processing all the madness without letting the world see him hurting. As Conway came into his own in his late teens and early 20s, those private bars and notebooks started becoming more public, more calculated. He started putting work out in Dallas's underground scene, adopting the moniker Yella Beezy, a nod to his light skin, and maybe a slick reference to how he was creating buzz with his energetic flow. His early tapes captured that authentic trap life in Texas with rawness that hit home for everybody living that reality. The real come-up popped off with tracks that perfectly mixed catchy hooks with real street tales. Trappin' Designer became the street anthem throughout Dallas clubs and all across the blocks, the type of banger that had folks reciting every bar before they realized they'd memorized it. This wave caught the attention of Hitco Entertainment, founded by legendary music executive L.A. Reid, marking Yella's official entry into the major league where the stakes and the bread were way bigger. His rise continued with hits that got him on national charts and in rotation everywhere. That's On Me showcased his ability to craft infectious, bass-knocking songs that appealed to both street cats who valued authenticity and mainstream listeners looking for club hits. Big-name collabs followed quick, linking with Chris Brown on Restroom Occupied, Lil Wayne on Hit, and Gucci Mane on Back at It Again, each feature expanding his reach and cementing his position in the trap wave. When discussing his unexpected success during an interview, Yella reflected on how his breakthrough single was performing beyond his wildest expectations.
I mean, you came out with these Trappin' Designer records, and what's the latest one that's out right now that's going crazy?
That's On Me.
That's On Me going crazy. What, like 500,000? What, like a month?
Nah, shit. Right now it says 700,000.
7.
But real talk, Yella's evolution from an anxious young rapper to a confident industry player didn't come smooth. Drama stayed attached to his name, often stemming from the same streets that inspired his music. Legal troubles, including gun cases, painted him as a product of his environment, a place where surviving sometimes meant moving in ways that looked different depending on which side you stood on. Now let's slide across town to North Dallas, where another young hustler was carving his own lane. MO3, born Melvin Abdul Noble Jr. in McKinney, but raised in North Dallas, had a story that echoed Yella's but played out with its own unique intensity. Born in spring 1992, Noble came up in a household that kept faith at the center. He was active at Greater Hope Holiness Church, and family bonds were everything. North Dallas, with its mix of hope and hardship, molded him into someone who wore his pain on his sleeve, turning personal struggles into lyrical confessions that felt more like testimony than entertainment. Heavily influenced by Boozy Badazz, whose unfiltered honesty about street life nightlife and doing time resonated deep. Noble's early ventures into rap became his outlet. His music blended smooth melodies with unflinching street narratives that refused to sugarcoat the struggle. MO3's career caught fire with his 2014 mixtape Showtaz, building a grassroots following throughout Dallas through authentic portrayals of hood realities. No cap, just truth over beats. His rise was organic, powered by word of mouth and local shows where his emotional delivery had crowds locked in. The game changer came when he caught Boozy Badazz's ear, leading to a label deal and mentorship that took his profile beyond Dallas. Their collaborative album Bad As Mo3 was a major milestone, proving MO3 could go bar for bar with established vets. Major releases like Everybody and aggressive disses at Ops showed his versatility, switching from heartfelt tracks to aggressive bars that reminded everybody he wasn't one to play with. But in Dallas's hip-hop underbelly, where ambition and street affiliations collide violently, the rivalry between Yella Beezy and MO3 was simmering before it exploded into tragedy. What started as whispers of competition evolved into personal disrespect, violent run-ins, and alleged retaliations that had fans glued to their phones while families mourned. This wasn't sparked by one explosive moment, but from a buildup of slights, rumors, and harsh realities where rap beefs can turn deadly quick. The tension traced back to when both were grinding in Oak Cliff and North Dallas scenes, areas buzzing with talent but heavy with territorial pride. Street talk circulated that initial friction stemmed from something as petty as a shared romantic interest, but it was outside players who really ignited the flames. Enter Roy Lee Phipps Jr., a Dallas comedian known for savage online roasts targeting rappers' credibility and street credentials. Roy Lee publicly questioned Yella Beezy's ties to Oak Cliff, accusing him of inflating his hood credentials for clout, basically calling him a fraud. These viral videos cut deep because few things damage rep more than questioned authenticity. As a close associate of MO3, Roy Lee's attacks pulled MO3 into the situation indirectly, creating guilt by association. Things escalated when Roy Lee reportedly ran up on Yella's crew at a club and got jumped. He kept going with the roasts until tragedy struck. In late 2018 or early 2019, Roy Lee got shot in the leg in North Dallas, and complications from blood clots led to his death. Street whispers immediately pointed at Yella Beezy or his circle, alleging a bag had been placed as payback, though never proven. This event transformed what might have been lighthearted beef into something way more sinister, with MO3 feeling obligated to step up for his fallen homie. Deeper currents flowed beneath these slights. Yella Beezy's connections to the Rollin' 60s Crips brought organized street loyalty into the mix. In Dallas, where gang dynamics intersect with rap, such ties amplify disputes, turning personal grudges into broader crew conflicts with their own codes and street laws. Specific incidents marked the escalation. In October 2018, Yella Beezy survived a shooting on the North Dallas Tollway, an ambush that left him hospitalized. When asked about violence in Dallas, and specifically about shootings affecting rappers, MO3's response was chilling in its casual acceptance of the danger.
When Yella Beezy got shot up, what were your thoughts about that?
I gotta stay out the way.
Okay.
Out here, shit. Get hit up every day out here, like.
Street rumors linked MO3 to the attack, suggesting payback for Roy Lee's death, though both artists publicly downplayed involvement. Then, in February 2020, tensions exploded at a Dallas club when Yella Beezy allegedly clashed with Brandon Rainwater, MO3's manager. Reports described it as a one-sided beatdown, with Rainwater catching a dislocated hip and filing a lawsuit. Throughout this period, both artists made public statements downplaying their conflict while keeping it alive through subtle shots. In one particularly revealing exchange, when asked directly about MO3, Yella Beezy's response was dismissive in a way that spoke volumes about the underlying tension between them.
Well, after we did the interview with you, I interviewed Mo3.
Who?
Mo3.
I don't know who that is.
Okay. Well, I asked about the shooting, and he said there's no beef, but he said you just gotta stay out the way, it's real out here.
Meanwhile, MO3 was equally emphatic in denying any organized beef between Dallas rappers, insisting the whole thing was blown out of proportion by blogs trying to create drama for clicks and engagement.
Yeah, nah, they was misinformed about some rap beef, and I was like, nah, I ain't got no rap beef with nobody. I ain't got no rap beef with no rapper in my city. And no rap beef.
When pressed even harder about specific incidents and supposed surveillance footage showing altercations on the street, MO3's denials became almost humorous in their bluntness, dismissing everything as internet fiction and people reaching for stories that didn't exist.
Do you see somebody running down the street?
I do not.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so So you're saying that all of that is just nonsense?
That's what I'm saying. Internet be reaching.
But beneath these public denials and claims that everything was fabricated, something way more sinister was brewing in the streets. A deadly plot that would culminate on a busy Dallas freeway in broad daylight, forever transforming this rap rivalry from social media entertainment into a murder investigation that would captivate the nation and take 5 years to unravel. The highway execution, caught on camera in broad daylight. November 11, 2020, kicked off like any other Wednesday in Dallas. Blue skies, traffic flowing, people grinding through their day trying to get that bread. MO3 was cruising northbound on I-35E near the Oak Lawn exit around noon. A stretch of freeway every Dallas native knows, packed with commuters and truckers making their daily runs. What went down next would be preserved on dashcam footage from an 18-wheeler, capturing every horrifying second of a brazen execution that investigators would later describe as a calculated hit job carried out with zero regard for witnesses. A dark-colored whip pulled up alongside MO3's vehicle, and without any warning whatsoever, the driver opened fire. Bullets tore through the air, piercing MO3's car and forcing him to swerve wildly as horns blared, and drivers reacted in pure shock and terror. In a desperate move to escape the hail of gunfire raining down on him, MO3 abandoned his whip and took off on foot across the lanes, weaving through slowing traffic, while cars screeched to avoid hitting him as the situation descended into chaos. The shooter, completely unfazed and laser-focused on his target, hopped out of his own ride and pursued on foot with his weapon drawn and ready. Witnesses described a chilling scene. The shooter, dressed in all black with a mask covering his face, methodically chasing his target across multiple lanes of the freeway before firing the fatal shots that would end MO3's life. MO3 collapsed on the concrete, bleeding out from multiple gunshot wounds as traffic came to a complete standstill and chaos erupted. Despite first responders rushing to the scene within minutes, MO3 died from his injuries at a nearby hospital, ending a promising career and kicking off a complex murder investigation that would span half a decade. Years later, when the dashcam footage finally surfaced during court proceedings, media personalities like DJ Academics broke down the sequence frame by frame for millions of viewers hungry for details. The video revealed how the confrontation unfolded, with MO3 initially trying to maneuver away from his pursuer on the crowded highway, seemingly not fully grasping the deadly danger he was in.
Now, here's the thing. I gotta believe if Mo3 is in this vehicle, I gotta believe that Mo3, it doesn't really feel like he's that much in danger or that this person is trying to kill him. You get what I'm saying? And the reason why I gotta believe that is that the dude passes him. Mo3 could have slowed down. Let's say the guy's going 60. Reduce your speed to 30.
The footage revealed that critical moment when MO3 made the fatal decision to bail out of his whip, apparently attempting to grab his tool from the vehicle to defend himself. Academics analyzed this split-second choice with the clarity of hindsight, noting how differently the entire situation might have played out if MO3 had just kept his foot on the gas and kept pushing forward.
I'm not having a standoff in the middle of the highway. I'm keep driving. I'm flooring it, right? I'm keep flooring this bitch, okay? But Mo3 actually stops, but it appears Mo3 must have been under the assumption, oh, this pussy nigga is playing with me. Maybe recognize the guy or recognize the car. And he's like, let me go get my chopper.
At the crime scene, investigators recovered dozens of shell casings scattered across the asphalt, physical evidence of a high-powered weapon being unleashed in a flurry of shots. The weaponry was later identified as a semi-automatic firearm capable of rapid fire, which explained the sheer volume of casings littering the freeway and the severity of MO3's wounds to his back and torso, the type of injuries that told detectives he was shot while trying to flee for his life. Dashcam footage from passing vehicles and highway surveillance cameras captured fragments of the whole ordeal, showing MO3's gold sedan riddled with bullet holes and the suspect's black sedan abandoned nearby after completing the hit. These visuals depicted the chase and the shooter's calculated, methodical actions, providing crucial timelines that helped police piece together exactly what went down in those chaotic minutes. The fact that this popped off in such an open location on a major freeway during peak midday hours underscored how brazen and reckless the hit was, suggesting the perpetrator was more focused on completing the job than avoiding the dozens of potential witnesses. Central to cracking the case wide open was identifying the triggerman who actually pulled off the hit. Q and Dontrell White, a 22-year-old already on parole at the time, quickly became the primary suspect after surveillance images released by Dallas PD showed a man matching his description near the scene. White, who had a jacket including firearm violations, was scooped up about a month later in December 2020, following tips from the streets and forensic evidence linking him to both the vehicle and the weapon weapon used in the shooting. His role in the whole operation was painted as the triggerman, the one allegedly hired to handle the dirty work for whoever wanted MO3 dead. He initially faced murder charges, but those evolved into a plea deal for a reduced sentence on related gun charges, agreeing to serve 9 years while cooperating with prosecutors and providing testimony against the alleged mastermind. Devin Brown, another alleged participant in the plot, was indicted alongside White and Yella Beezy in 2025, accused of helping facilitate the hit, though the specifics of his involvement remained murky and unclear even as charges were filed. But the biggest bombshell that rocked the Dallas hip-hop community dropped when investigators turned their full attention to who might have orchestrated the whole play from behind the scenes. Yella Beezy, government name Marquis DeAndre Conway, entered the picture much later as the alleged mastermind, charged with capital murder for hire based on claims that he orchestrated the hit amid their ongoing beef that had been simmering for years. The investigative grind unfolded slowly and methodically, showing just how challenging it is to build a solid, airtight case around a high-profile street beef involving major rap artists. Dallas PD launched an immediate manhunt following the murder, putting out surveillance images to the public that generated leads pointing straight to White as the shooter. Early investigative work focused heavily on physical evidence, ballistics matching the casings to a weapon traced back to White, and witness statements that corroborated the timeline of events on that fatal November day. However, the investigation hit a brick wall initially, going cold as detectives struggled to establish direct links to a motive or identify who might be pulling strings from above and financing the operation. Street informants played crucial roles in breathing new life into the case. Whispers from the trenches and White's eventual cooperation provided the breakthrough, with allegations emerging that a bag had been placed by Yella Beezy as retaliation for prior attacks and the ongoing disrespect between the two camps. The timeline stretched from the 2020 murder all the way to arrest in 2025, a 5-year delay caused by the need to corroborate street talk with hard evidence, navigate testimonies from cooperating criminals with their own agendas, and overcome evidentiary hurdles like incomplete digital trails and witnesses reluctant to come forward. Major challenges included witnesses' memories fading over time, potential intimidation in the rap community keeping people's mouths shut, and the complexity of proving a murder-for-hire scheme without direct confessions or clear paper trails showing money changing hands. Surveillance footage and evidence collection formed the backbone of the prosecution's entire case against Yella Beezy. Highway CCTV captured the vehicle's movements in real time, while dash cams offered raw, unfiltered footage of the chase and shooting as it unfolded on the busy interstate. But perhaps the most incriminating piece of evidence that prosecutors would lean on heavily came from financial records that told their own damning story. Bank records showed Yella Beezy withdrew $40,000 in cash shortly after the murder went down, which prosecutors interpreted as payment for the hit job, though defense attorneys would argue this was purely circumstantial. This connected directly to the filmed withdrawal angle that would become central to the case. Standard bank security cameras likely recorded the transaction, footage that was later subpoenaed by investigators to verify the timing and amount, though no public release of that specific footage has occurred to protect the integrity of the ongoing investigation. Phone records revealed communications between Yella Beezy and White around the time of the murder, with cell tower data placing their devices in suspiciously close proximity to each other in the days leading up to and following MO3's death. The murder didn't exist in a vacuum. It was part of a larger, more complex web of prior crimes, suggesting an escalating pattern of street violence between the two camps. Connections to Roy Lee's 2019 death, allegedly tied to Yella Beezy's circle as retaliation for his roast, fueled theories about a revenge cycle spinning completely out of control. Brandon Rainwater's club assault by Yella Beezy had led to lawsuits and deepened the animosity between camps, creating more bad blood. An October 2020 shooting that targeted Yella Beezy was rumored as MO3's retaliation, completing the cycle of tit-for-tat attacks that characterized their deadly beef. As the case inched closer toward trial, the accumulated evidence, circumstantial as much of it was, began painting a picture that prosecutors believed proved premeditation and a deliberate murder-for-hire plot, setting up a courtroom showdown that would have the entire Dallas community, the hip-hop world, and true crime enthusiasts across the nation watching every development with bated breath. Justice delayed, the courtroom battle, and controversial cash withdrawal. In March 2025, more than 4 years after MO3 caught those fatal shots on I-35E, a Dallas County grand jury finally indicted Yella Beezy on capital murder for hire charges, a first-degree felony under Texas law that's elevated specifically because money allegedly changed hands to make the murder happen. This charge stemmed from accusations that Conway put a bag on MO3's head, hiring Q1 Dontrell White to handle the hit as payback for their escalating street beef that had been brewing for years. Alongside Conway, Devin Brown caught an indictment for his alleged role in helping set up the whole play, adding another layer to the conspiracy charges. The court's timeline got pushed back multiple times, as often happens in high-profile murder cases. An initial trial date set for April 2025 got postponed, while lawyers on both sides handled evidentiary preparations and pretrial motions, eventually landing on February 2, 2026 for Conway's case, while Brown's trial was scheduled for November 2025. These dates reflected the extensive preparation required for such heavy charges carrying potential life sentences, with pretrial hearings tackling everything from bond conditions to what evidence could be presented at trial and which witnesses would testify. Bond hearings became major battlegrounds in the legal proceedings, with both sides fighting hard over whether Yella Beezy should remain locked up or be allowed to walk pending trial. After getting booked in mid-March 2025, Conway was initially held on a steep $2 million bond, an amount prosecutors justified by pointing to his substantial financial resources and potential flight risks given the severity of the capital murder charges hanging over his head. During a crucial March 27, 2025 hearing, the judge reduced the bond to $750,000 after defense lawyers highlighted Conway's deep community ties, family obligations including children who needed him, and lack of violent priors despite his past legal troubles. During that pivotal hearing, prosecutors laid out their case with calculated precision, revealing key testimony they planned to bring at trial that would attempt to connect all the dots. A state attorney addressed the court, dropping bombshell details about their star witness, who would tie everything together and directly implicate Yella Beezy in the murder for hire plot.
That state's witness will also testify that Marquise Conway was one of the individuals responsible for a portion of that payment. A state's witness will also testify to the individual who would receive this payment. The state's witness will testify that Q1 White was, in fact, the individual to receive this payment, who was originally indicted in State's Exhibit Number 1.
Then came the major bombshell about the financial evidence connecting Yella Beezy to the alleged murder for hire plot, evidence that would become the absolute cornerstone of the prosecution's entire case against him, and the smoking gun they believed proved his guilt.
The state has also had an opportunity to review bank records of the defendant, Marquise Conway. These records would show that the defendant drew $40,000 in the days following the murder of Melvin Noble. And for the record, that was a cash withdrawal. These records would correspond to the exact amount which the state's witness would testify to.
At the heart of the prosecution's case was this breakdown of evidence carefully assembled over years to connect Conway to the crime beyond reasonable doubt. Financial transactions formed the foundation. Bank records revealed Conway pulled $40,000 in cash mere days after MO3 got smoked, an amount prosecutors alleged was payment for the hit, though defense attorneys would argue wealthy rappers routinely withdraw large amounts of cash for legitimate purposes. This tied directly into the filmed withdrawal angle that sparked widespread public interest, referring to routine bank surveillance footage that was subpoenaed to verify the transaction's timing and amount, providing visual evidence of Yella Beezy making what prosecutors called a suspicious withdrawal. Witness testimonies, especially from White, who copped a plea on lesser charges and agreed to snitch in exchange for a reduced sentence, were expected to be explosive and potentially case-defining. He's claiming direct knowledge of conversations about the bounty and payment, alleging he was hired specifically by Yella Beezy's camp to carry out the hit on MO3. Digital communications backed this up, with phone records showing contacts between Conway and White within 24 hours of the murder, plus cell tower data placing their phones in close proximity to each other during the critical time period. Defense strategies came at the prosecution hard, punching holes in their narrative at every opportunity. Conway's legal team, emphasizing the over 4-year delay in bringing charges, argued the evidence was purely circumstantial and hearsay-driven, lacking solid proof like explicit text messages spelling out a murder plot plot or wire transfers directly linking their client to the alleged scheme. They challenged the credibility of informants aggressively, noting White's extensive criminal background and plea deal incentives could bias his testimony towards saving his own skin rather than telling the truth. Hip-hop industry insider and street politics expert Wack 100 weighed in on the case during a detailed interview, expressing serious skepticism about the prosecution's evidence and highlighting major weaknesses in their argument about the cash withdrawal being definitive proof of murder for hire rather than normal wealthy rapper behavior.
Saying he pulled a certain amount of money out of his
They say
bank
he pulled
account.
out 40,000 out of his account, and I'm thinking like, that's not really that uncommon for someone like a Beezy, honestly.
Wack 100 broke down in detail why the financial evidence alone seemed flimsy and insufficient to prove murder, pointing out the significant uphill battle prosecutors would face, trying to convince a jury that a cash withdrawal by itself equals concrete evidence of hiring a hitman.
I
You're
like
gonna
having
need those
cash around.
people.
Like, I'll have like, a few thousand cash just lying around just to have. I've pulled out
Yeah.
5, 10, 20,000, 40,000.
No, that's a fact.
I remember I bought a watch, I pulled out 70,000. Like, this happens when you have money in your accounts.
But guess what? You could have went and provided a receipt for the watch, right?
Conway posted his $750,000 bond and walked out under strict house arrest conditions, including GPS monitoring around the clock and orders to stay away from witnesses and co-defendants to avoid any potential tampering. Recent modifications in early November 2025 gave him 5 hours weekly to hit the studio and record music, a concession granted after his legal team argued music was his primary source of income and livelihood, and that preventing him from recording would cause irreparable financial harm. Drawing on legal precedents from similar high-profile cases, this situation mirrors other hip-hop murders where street beefs turned fatal with deadly consequences. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.